Hello. Today I am in the middle of the desert in Utah. What an amazing place this is. I am going to give you the coordinates. I really believe we should all share these places because they don't belong to anyone, they belong to all of us. Thank you, BLM. Thank you, National Forest. Thank you. So I am going to put the coordinates in the comments. It is the McCoy Flats, I think it is, a little south of Vernal, Utah. Beautiful place. I am alone here. I mean, there are some other campers, but I don't see them. They are so far away. This area is huge with lots of sites that you can access them through a nice paved road. And in my case, I decided to drive a little bit out of the road, and my minivan took it because it was not that bad. The dirt road was okay. So yeah, I'm going to share the coordinates. Highly recommended. In the middle of nowhere, and yet 2 or 3 miles from Walmart in Vernal. So excellent. You can go there, get your groceries, come back, and then go back if you forgot something. Easy, super easy. So, but let me tell you, today, when I left South Dakota, I went into Wyoming, and the minute you go in there, I loved Wyoming. South Dakota is very nice, but Wyoming said something to my spirit. I don't know how, I don't know why. I absolutely adore Wyoming. So thank you, Wyoming. It was amazing. So, but the minute you drive into Wyoming, you have these, if you're coming from South Dakota, you have this beautiful, gorgeous visitor center, very well presented. The exhibits there are really nice. The whole place is just, and they say the word art many times. Art exhibits, art this, art that. And I believe they really mean it. It's really at that level. Beautiful. So, but I learned that just half a mile away from it, you can go and visit the Vore Buffalo Jump. I think that is the name. And it was a little dive into history. And one thing I want to share with you is just a side detail of my life. I have asthma. So I am not one of those YouTubers, tourists, van lifers that can walk and tell you what they are seeing and show you what they are seeing, because I cannot walk and talk at the same time. I have to save my energy to survive, to breathe. So when I am walking, I cannot talk. So sorry, it's kind of boring to just look at me and listen to me while I introduce the subject of the day. Sorry about that. I do admire people who can walk and talk. Very nice. So, but the thing is, I want to tell you about the Vore Buffalo Jump. Vore was the last name of the owner of that land, and they donated that part of their land to these centers so everybody can learn about what happened there. It is a dive into history, and I found it fascinating. The story of the place is this: Indians would hunt bison there, and bison is a powerful animal. It is fast, And if you think about 1500 years ago, 1500 years ago, when horses were not in the picture because they didn't exist in these lands, it is amazing because these Indians, they needed the meat to survive the winters and the hides and everything, but they couldn't get bison that easily. So even if this happened in many different places, similar things you can see in South Dakota, where they use the cliffs to push bison so they would fall off the cliffs and die so they could get to them. Here, there was a combination of factors that I found really, really interesting. So the actual site is a sinkhole. So at some point, the ground caved in, so there was a hole, a natural hole there, and natives saw that as an opportunity to push bison to fall into the hole, and that way they could use them. So how do you, without horses, how do you push bison to fall in the sinkhole? Very interesting. Natives, they studied, they knew bison. So they knew that you can put some guidelines and bison is not going to cross over to the other side. So they made mounds of rocks with branches to keep them on this other side, on the side of the sinkhole, so they wouldn't go away that way. That was the first strategy. The other strategy is with a hide, with a bison hide on them, they would pretend they were a hurt bison. So they would go in a position and make the noises of a hurt bison. That was to prey on the instinct of the mother bisons, which would approach the hurt bison to see how to help. When that happened, from behind, they would scare bison. So they would run. And the first ones closer to the sinkhole, they couldn't avoid falling because the other ones were pushing them. So we are talking about the year 500 or so. Everything was very rudimentary. They only had some stones to use to peel these animals and to take the bones and the meat to use them. And then they would take that to wherever they had their settlement. They managed to do that. They just pushed bison into this sinkhole, and they would use the animals that fell there. Some of them died on impact, some others suffocated because other bison fell on them. So yeah, it is not fun, it is sad, but it is the history of humankind, right? What fascinates me is how they polished this hunting technique in such a superb way, using this sinkhole that was an accident of nature and using that to get what they needed. So similar techniques were used all over these lands, all over the United States. There are traces and studies of all the many places where similar things happened. As we said, South Dakota with the cliffs and all those things. And then, of course, when the horse came, it was easier for them to do these kind of things. The actual excavation of the Boer buffalo jump is kind of stopped because there is no real commercial value to learning what happened there. Of course, I mean, finding dinosaur bones is way more interesting and way more profitable. So finding bison bones is relative. So, but they already studied what happened. Kind of they closed that chapter. The interesting thing is, natives used each and every bone and each and every part of the bison, all of it, the whole thing, but one bone. The first bone on the spine, right after the skull, the one connecting the spine to the skull, that was the only bone that didn't have any use to them. And so they would leave that bone behind in the sinkhole, sorry. So that is why they can estimate how many bison were killed in that place just by counting that one bone, I mean, all those bones, the ones that were left behind. So very interesting, very teeny details of how human beings come up with ideas. Scientists counting that one bone to know how many bison die there. Natives using a sinkhole to catch those bison. And the amazing thing of living in this planet. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week with another kind of observation or just amazement on the road. Thank you very much. See you soon.